College and Career Lab enables NYC area high school students to develop skills for exploring careers and navigating barriers to college and post-secondary opportunities. The iTLAB, working with input provided by C&CL Director Alexandria Meier, created a 2-week course with a focus on virtual reality, in which students received guidance using VR hardware, software, and immersive experiences to create a project connecting VR to an area of professional interest. After consulting with Alexandria, a syllabus was drafted and approved. Our goal was a consistent balance of presentation, demonstration, and interactivity in support of the overarching assignment to create a project connecting VR to an area of professional interest. Then, the iTLAB went to work designing daily agendas, not only to provide structure, but to identify the virtual reality tools and software that best supported the theme of a given day. Our structure began every day as a full group, during which we presented content, conducted demonstrations, and introduced students to virtual reality experiences. Following a break, the second half typically involves separating into 2 groups, allowing students to concentrate on project-focused work. On the first day, after welcoming the students, we showed a concise presentation about virtual reality hardware. This was followed by a live virtual reality demonstration, after which, students had their introduction to VR. On day 2, we introduced VR tools that permit users to create 3D content. To illustrate a VR-only creative tool, we presented a 3-dimensional drawing application called OpenBrush, derived from Google's Tilt Brush, which is now open source. This was done to inspire the students' creativity, and also to ease them into the use of virtual menus to manage the many options the application provides. As a counterpoint, we showed a VR application called Vermilion that focuses on realistically simulating oil painting. On day 3, we focused on single-user virtual reality, but because this covers a lot of territory, we concentrated on experiences that transport users to a convincingly realized simulated world. In the first instance, students went through Anne Frank House, a simulation in which we are brought into an accurate reproduction of the Anne Frank house with voiceover and annotations to provide educational context to the immersive experience. As a counterpoint, the second instance was Vader Immortal, a cinematic gamified entertainment simulation in the Star Wars universe to demonstrate the potential of merging traditional cinema with virtual reality. On day 5, the last session of week 1, we provided instruction in the use of an XR architecture application called Archeo and introduced a musical instrument simulation called Paradiddle. Music making was underrepresented in our content, but we didn't want to completely neglect it. Overall, the bulk of the day was devoted to helping students commit to their project idea and consider how they would execute it in the second week of the session. On day 6, we began with a basic presentation about project management, which was admittedly drier than other material we'd been offering, but we felt it had value in a course framed around VR as it relates to careers. We provided broad ideas on approaches to managing large or complex projects, noting methods like Agile and Scrum, without diving too deeply. Later, we provided more instruction for One-to-Spaces, and a lesson on creating custom avatars using Ready Player Me. Day 7 was focused on the role of work samples in job seeking. We discussed professions in which one needs a portfolio or work samples, highlighting visual jobs, such as photography, graphic design, videographer, video editor, creative director, and artist. We also mentioned performance careers, such as acting or modeling, and discussed the role of work samples not always being apparent to people interested in technology professions like software development. The goal of the conversation was to draw a connection to the potential value of the projects the students were working on during the session. We also discussed digital portfolios, and potential platforms for presenting work, including Sketchfab as a resource for 3D content hosting, acquisition, and presentation. Day 8 was about giving and receiving feedback. We discussed approaches based on the critique environment, and the difference between aesthetic and functional feedback, and how feedback can improve work in development. To facilitate the topic, the class critiqued the iTLAB website for function and presentation. Overall, the intention of this topic was to prepare the students to receive feedback from the iTLAB team on their projects. During the second half of the session, we reviewed student work and offered recommendations on how it could be improved. Student projects included 3D sculptures, immersive presentations, simulated oil paintings, VR analysis, and high-resolution 3D modeling. The theme of Day 9 was adaptation, which opened with the following questions. Are there any changes in the project? Can you still complete it by the end of the week? If not, how will you pivot? This framing was to help the students see the necessity of being able to adapt their work, sometimes with short notice, to meet the need of a fixed deadline. Ultimately, only one student ended up making a significant change. Day 10 was to finish and share projects. References to everyone's work were displayed in the custom VR gallery that was created with Archeo and hosted in Wanda Spaces to illustrate the use of the tools to the students. At presentation time, we toured the VR gallery, where each student spoke about their project and answered questions. It is always a lot of work to design what one hopes will be a meaningful learning experience while knowing not every student will connect to the material or the style of instruction. But introducing the students of the College and Career Lab to virtual reality proved to be a very rewarding endeavor. It was a privilege to watch them open to the possibilities of this amazing technology, and we had many interesting conversations about the impact virtual reality will have on careers, culture, and human experiences. When discussing immersive technologies with students, we invariably arrive at Black Mirror, an excellent sci-fi horror show on Netflix that considers the worst outcomes of these technologies in the next 20 years or so. Students rightly understand that the speculations of Black Mirror are in no way confined to a fantasy that cannot happen. My standard response is as follows: immersive technology will mirror the best and worst of us, as many technologies before have. By acknowledging this, those of us with the inclination may drive it to favor us at our best. That's certainly the iTLAB's intention.